All right. Well, first of all, happy 100th episode. I remember my first 100th episode, and I want to say this to you, Matt. You and Pasta have been a source of inspiration this last year and these couple of months. I have watched both of you work tirelessly hard in making a presence seen in this media scape. And I want to say that both of your contributions, including you yourself, Matt, I've just gotten to know you, have not only made our entire organization, independent media, stronger, but dare I say it, it has made more people want to be actively involved. And when we met face to face in Chicago during the DNC convention, I knew right then and there you were one of the real ones, and that you are not going to give up. You're not going to back down. And look, I don't like how independent media is at risk of being censored, but you didn't go away. You didn't back down. You didn't say, well, it's over, I quit. You stood up and you said, F it, I'm going on to Rumble. You stood up and you keep on doing the show. You stood up. You and Pasta aren't going away. And for me, that's an inspiration. Okay? No matter what happens, because it's not about any one of us. It's about not giving up. It's about setting an example, and you're one of those people. So thank you for the privilege of being on your 100th episode. May there be a 1 millionth episode. How's that sound?
Sounds amazing, Kit. Thank you. You set a high bar for us to be inspired to maintain, because it's all about, it's not just about doing the job. It's not about just doing the work. Pasta talks about doing the work, which is absolutely important. It's about not giving up and not letting that censorship machine, that thing that thing that gets in our way every day. It's the reason we do this. It's because they're not doing it. They're doing the opposite. Their job every day is to keep us down. Their job every day is to protect the billionaire class, the elite, and make us look like we're in our grandma's basement posting misinformation, and we're a danger. As YouTube told us, Google told us, our conversations were a danger to society. They were a danger to the community. It was harmful. They literally used the word harmful to the community. So we know, and like, I thank you for the shout out. What we're saying in response to that isn't, oh, well, we lost. It's, we're going to keep going even stronger. And absolutely. So KIT CABELLO, Hardlands Media, is one of the biggest inspirations for us to know that you've been through this fight longer than us. And if you can do it, we can too.
I got that 1,000-mile stare, and look, any chance I could motivate or either that maybe make somebody get involved in this. And again, you know, to be clear here, because I know we got a lot to talk about. It's your show. I don't want to take over anything or anything like that. But, you know, if somebody says like, hey, I want to do what Kit or Matt is doing, on one hand, we need more citizen journalists. I'm going to say that again. It's not about, oh, you're taking this, you're taking that. Like, no, we need citizen journalists all over this country to step up in whatever way you can. And if you do have the chance to do what we're doing here, I'm going to promise two things to you. One, you will find some fulfillment and joy in doing this, but then it gets real. And this is, it can get emotionally draining. You will run into people who will not respect you, who will backstab you. You'll run into people who will hurt you. You will run into people that want to see you fall or fail. You won't get a bed of roses all the time. Sometimes you get a bunch of thorns, but it's whether or not you give up. And if you give up, then they win. So we need more citizen journalists out there. We need more people to speak out. And I was recently asked by the Illinois Green Party to run for like either U.S. Senate or the governor's race, right? And the thing is, like, on one hand, I'm like, oh, well, finally, I'm important enough. But on the other hand, too, it's like, well, I got a lot of personal things to take care of, personal wise and business wise. I have to take care of. But if my work can inspire other people, real leaders, that's all the reward I need. That's all I like. Because you know what? It matters about if this show and what we do here inspires people to become more informed, to become more actively involved civically, socially. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, right on, Kit. Well, this is going to lead us to our first story today, which is personal, I think, for both of us in a way, because where we start from is we start from the left camp. We start from this idea that when we were younger and dumber and more naive, we thought that the Democratic Party was the party that was going to save us, the party that was going to fight the evil, bad news Republicans who didn't want to help you, but the Democrats did. And here we are, fast forward after, your show so many years and us doing this now, we see this thing happening again, this thing that just sends a shiver down our spine. What I'm talking about is the Bernie and AOC movement or revolution, as he talks about. We're starting a revolution, although he hasn't said that word in a little bit. So the language has changed a little. I want to get into how the language has changed. But right now, it seems like AOC is the one that they're positioning for the 2028 run. And folks like you and your audience and us, we know that that's only going to lead down the same road that we've already seen before. But there might be something a little different this time. So let's look at this. Is the reveal of the money she's been making. And again, this is their plan is always get your checkbooks out right now because we have to stop Trump. We need your money. And it seems to be working in AOC's case because apparently what she's doing is she's raising enough money to be talked about on CNN here. And it seems like they're saying $9.6 million she's raised in 3 months. Check out their coverage of this.
AOC and Bernie Sanders going on a tour across the country, bringing in 10,000, 15,000 people into arenas. And now she's released her fundraising numbers saying she's raised $9.5 million in the first quarter of the year, which is a huge
lot of money.
amount of money.
AOC has returned yet again to be, at least right now, what appears to be the future of the Democratic Party. Julie, I don't know if you would disagree. I
agree with you, actually.
But from our vantage point as Republicans, we would love that because I think most American voters, especially those who self-identify as independents, are probably to the center of the left or to the center of the right. They're not extremist progressives. And so if the Democratic Party want to go down that path, I think it's going to bode well for Republicans in terms of our electoral success.
All right. Well, let me tell you why AOC is doing so well. And it's not because of
Do you agree with her, Julie?
No, actually, I don't agree with her in a lot of things. But I will tell you why people support AOC, including me at the moment. Because unlike other Democrats, she's taking the fight to Trump. And that is what Democrats want right now. And the bottom line is, it doesn't really matter whether you agree with her on the Green New Deal or whatever other policies she has. She and Bernie Sanders, with whom I also don't agree on policy all the time, are the ones who are out there taking the fight to Trump in ways that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are not.
Is there any worry that those ideas could define your party
listen,
at all?
As opposed to the ideas that define the Republican Party at the moment, I'll take their ideas versus Donald Trump's ideas any day of the week, and so will most Republicans. She's raising money from people right now who probably don't even know what her policy views are, but they see that she's going out there and she's taking the fight to him, and that's what Democrats are looking for.
Taking the fight to Trump.
No.
So that's the thing that the rest of the party just can't figure out because they just don't have any idea how to fight Trump. They've never been able to figure it out. It's just this very radical, apparently a very radical idea on the far, far, far left, Kit, that you would be sticking it to Trump because nobody does that in the middle or this kind of liberal types. No, they don't do that. What is the gibberish they're talking about? Trying to force us into this mindset that we're still on this linear plane of radical, moderate, and radical on the other end. Kit, what's going on there? Is this working? Is this line of talk working for them?
First of all, I find it ironic now that corporate media and the very same people in the vote blue, no matter whose sphere, who used to hate Bernie Sanders and AOC are now praising them because, look, I want to be clear here. I am not a Democrat voter. I'm not a Republican voter, but our job is to give an analysis and a perspective. So let's be very clear here in regards to understanding the political battlefield that could unfold before us. The Democrats as a brand have failed spectacularly. So that means 8 years ago, all those people who are saying, hey, trust in Bernie and AOC to run the party have been proven correct. Little did we know that Bernie and AOC would be neoliberal Democratic sellouts or either that follow the party line. Okay, now this is clear. So on the one hand, again, we progressives, independents who are politically homeless, Matt, I'm pretty sure you were saying the same thing. I was saying the same thing. Jimmy was saying all of it. All of us were saying the same thing. We've been proven correct. But we also now are seeing the fact that the Democratic establishment and corporate media now are going to have to play the game of, all right, a lot of our heavy hitters, at least who we thought were heavy hitters, like Cory Booker or Hakeem Jeffries or Nancy Pelosi or Chucky Boy Schumer, that they can't draw in the crowds. AOC and Bernie can. And what I see playing out, and I hope I'm wrong, but I see it playing out, I'm seeing the beginnings of what we saw pre-2016, and that is the Bernie Sanders momentum, but this time being AOC, Bernie Sanders 3.0, but this time AOC doing it. And I see people latching on to AOC as that progressive challenger in the Democrat Party who's good, who's young. She's got a following. She's got all these people surrounding her. And I see the hype machine being built up. And then, of course, remember, TYT at the time being the only home of the progressives. And I know people have problems with TYT. We're able to capitalize on this. And again, they exploded in popularity. I see other channels doing the same thing too. And maybe in some extent, maybe TYT if it's still around. But I see this playing out to where they're going to try and make her like the big left progressive candidate. All the while the Democrats are trying to filter or create somebody to be that corporate person to where, oh no, AOC can't win because the Democrats don't have a primary, don't really have an open, free, clear primary because they got super delegates. And then AOC saying, okay, everyone, we got to support this guy because we got to stop whoever the boogeyman is for that the Republicans are going to pull up. Because I don't think we're going to see Trump, a third Trump administration. If we do, I mean, it's content gold for us. But on the other hand, it's like, well, then who is MAGA going to have? Who are they going to pull up there? Donald Trump Jr. or whoever else could be potentially Trump's successor? Because this is the road we're at. And I see this happening. I see it playing out. And I just think we need to get in front of it before you got everyone who before you have the Gen Z, at least, being like how millennials were for Bernie Sanders. And I think if we wake people up to this rude awakening of just how Democrats will play us, I think we have a very good chance of doing something that's not just relying on electoral politics. Again, I could be wrong on this, but I have this feeling. I see it playing out. Maybe it's because I got that 1,000-mile stare in the trenches, but I see it. Unless let's get your thoughts.
Well, okay. So on one hand, you're right. There's this blueprint that we've seen before. We're seeing it play out, and I actually agree with you 100% that the part about that once she becomes the candidate that the people are out in the street for, they're going to have their new Hillary or their new Biden that isn't the one that people are excited about. But the media is going to do their job of saying, well, the people had their fun, but now we got to get back in line and stop the bad guys because
let's get serious. Yeah.
So, but that's not that's the blueprint, and we're going to see that. But there's another piece to this, Kit, that seems a little different to me than these 2015, 2016. Well, first of all, the start of the Bernie movement, the real movement, not the fake cardboard cutout 2020. The real movement in the street, the 15-16 movement, was about taking on the entire system. And remember, Obama was in office at the time, so there wasn't a talking point of stopping the big boogeyman. It wasn't about the boogeyman in office. It was about the entire system, the revolution, the taking on the billionaire class, taking on the oligarchy, taking on big pharma, taking on the military industrial complex. So those things rang true because we weren't in the middle of a genocide. Well, we were still illegally occupying Palestine, but it wasn't out in our cell phones. We weren't in a Ukraine proxy war, funneling money into the warmongers' pockets. We didn't have a boogeyman to pin it on. It was literally and again, not until Trump got the nomination, then it was we got to support Hillary and get Hillary. She's the only one that can stop Trump, even though we know he could have stopped Trump because he had a higher approval rating in the national. So we know all this, but this is the part that confuses me: is how can Bernie and AOC be using language, as you guys saw in that CNN clip, the language of she's the only one, and that's what they just said that on. They go, she's the only one in the Democrats that are bold enough to say we have to stop Trump. And I just don't understand how that message is even remotely as powerful as we have to take on the entire system. This is the exact message. So what would you think, Kit, is going to happen when they do find that establishment candidate? They're going to be saying the same thing. There's not a different message here. It's just stop Trump, right?
Well, the thing is, I talked about this with New Dissidents and RBN and JB, about and Nico House about what the Democrats are doing right now. Because here's the thing: we are in a process of surveillance and censorship. Okay, again, I want to be wrong. That maybe something will turn around. Maybe brighter days are ahead. Debatable. I know. I got to hold on to hope because I am a foolish, idealistic person. That's one of my weaknesses. Sometimes it's my heart just being a good guy, and I hate it. It's a weakness that I got to get out of me.
Yeah.
But to your point of, okay, Trump, bad guy. Trump. Well, it works. And the thing is, fear tactic. Wait, we're on Rumble, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
fear
also
porn
the
works.
Yeah.
Fear porn works, okay? Fucking fear porn works all the fucking time because you got a bunch of jackasses who are just so afraid of their shadow. You got people who cannot think critically. You got people who are incapable of thinking critically because when they see Trump, they get afraid. And of course, when Trump blurts out, oh, I'm going to turn Canada into the 51st state, or we're occupying Greenland, or we're going to go to war with Iran, you got people saying, he's really going to do it. But this isn't the first time Trump said anything crazy or batshit, okay? Trump is who he is. Everything that he's doing is nothing new. This should not surprise any of us. So get serious. This is who Trump is. He's always been this guy, and the Democrats always knew that he was that freaking guy. So what's the best thing that a Democrat can do to a bunch of progressives and liberals that are in the vote blue no matter who mindset, or either that people who are now just unable to think critically and just afraid of Trump? We got to stand up against Trump. We got to stop the tyrant. We got to do this. We got to do that. Stand up against Trump. They have a boogeyman. They have their Saturday morning cartoon villain, and it says a lot about people. Now, you and I have also gone through many moments of fear and doubt, or we have a boogeyman or some sort of crazy thing before us. But then you realize what you were afraid of isn't all that frightening, because what Trump is doing is no different than any other president beforehand. He's probably the most transparent president we've had. I mean, he told us the real reason why we're in Syria in his first term, because of the oil. Any other president would have said freedom, liberty, saving the people, democracy, all that jazz. Trump said, hey, we're there for the oil. Most transparent thing ever. This is who he is. So with AOC constantly hyping up, or the media saying, oh, she could stop Trump, it's to give that false assurance, that hopium copium, to the latte drinking liberals or people who have Trump derangement syndrome, to thinking, yes, she can stop Trump. And then comes the 2018 primaries. And you know what? Same thing what we saw in 2020. All of them saying, oh, yeah, we could stop Trump. We could all stop Trump. Trump. But it's not about Trump. See, Trump is a symptom of what's wrong with the body politics of America. He's the rash. He's indicating that there's something sick here. The real sickness has been the politicians who've been in power for decades, like Nancy or Turtle Boy Mitch McConnell. It's these people who built the system. Okay, it is about taking on the system. But when you talk about the system, then all of a sudden people get triggered and realize, oh, this is more complicated than I knew. And when they see the complication and the advancement of just how problematic the whole system is, people turn off because, oh, it's not black and white. It's not a Saturday morning cartoon show anymore. It's real, and it's been happening for decades, and people don't know how to respond to it. Yeah. That's the thing. There's the lack of the intelligence of responding to it, or either that people do know, but then how do we fight it if it's been around for so long? And that leads to the collapse of many empires and nations, and people, the American people, have to wake up to reality that it wasn't Trump. It just didn't happen under Trump, and defeating him isn't going to make him go away, because one day we're going to get a more competent version of Trump. One day we're going to get somebody who knows what they're doing and could really hurt us.
It might be coming up sooner than later, depending on who is the standout in his team that he gives the most praise to. He said, you did the best job. You're the person that's going to go against. And I'm going to say this, Kit, the more I think about it, when we watch the MSM, the mainstream, the way they talk about AOC right now, it's different than how they talked about Bernie. When Bernie, now look, obviously we have to get closer to the election for people to take it more seriously. We're very far away.
Absolutely.
But once we get there, my prediction is the Democrats, they might be looking for that other person, the new Hillary.
They could be, yeah.
But what if they're not? What if AOC actually checks every box they need her to? Because I go back to my mind to 2015. There was a moment in time where Bernie might have actually been authentic for a very brief moment.
Fair enough.
They were petrified of him. Do you remember Chris Matthews freaking the hell out?
Mhm.
We're gonna have a he's like Hitler invading Poland. Like these people got crazy about the idea that Bernie Sanders would be our president. They were petrified. Now, some could argue that all was theater the whole way. We know it was theater in 2020, but 2016, something was happening. He was taking on the entire system, and he was an anti-war candidate. We weren't showing up to his rallies and protesting genocide, protesting Ukraine war, where we know he has people arrested from his rallies. We're going to talk about more of that in a little bit, but I'm suggesting, Kit, that what if AOC checks every box, that they don't need to switch her out. And I'm saying this not because it's easier for them not to have to, put on this charade. They could just go with her. They're all into it. It's because it's the illusion that we made progress, that Bernie couldn't quite do it, but AOC can. And now you got all the shit libs excited that they got their new Obama being packaged. And she looks like us more than ever because now it's a woman. Now you check the woman box. This is the progression that they need us to feel as they move to their next objective of the military-industrial complex. But like you said, the empire's falling, so maybe it's the last chapter. But why not put that face of the people and redo the Obama years right then? That's to me seems like we might be going that direction, and that's why the mainstream isn't getting sweaty right now. Oh my God, AOC might take us into communism. Like they're not doing that like they did with Bernie.
I could see this playing out, and here's the thing. I want to add a little more to it. So, okay, so in this scenario, you're suggesting that AOC could be their package deal, and they're constantly grooming her and making her out to be their person. It wouldn't surprise me but the thing is, remember, AOC, thanks to Nancy Pelosi's machinations, has never been part of a leading committee. Okay, so she's never had that leadership role. But since Nancy is on the decline, and look, not being a bad guy here, but listen, you only could be in power for so long. Look what happened to Dianne Feinstein, and Nancy right now is using crutches or a cane to walk around now. So okay, so let's add the factor of Nancy's influence is out. You got Chuck Schumer, whose influence is waning. A lot of liberals are upset, and so you got the party leadership wondering, could AOC play ball with us? Could she do it? There is a possibility where I'll play ball if you let me do certain things. I mean, let's be clear. Right now, we're putting out a scenario here. So if AOC does agree to play ball with the establishment, wants to, rebuild the Democrat Party, there might be some concessions that she could get. But remember, how many times does a politician follow through with their campaign promises? I mean, I don't recall Greenland going after Greenland being on Trump's campaign policy. At least I double checked that. I mean, was Trump running on annexing Greenland? No, but things do happen. Yeah. So I could see where they can have it. She has a popular name, a huge media following. She could get some big channels on YouTube to support her. I don't know if she'll ever go back on TYT because after all, she hasn't been on their show in years now. I mean, how much egg does Cenk have on his face that the fact that she doesn't show up, and she got started because of TYT? I mean, that says so much. But there are other channels, if he's still relevant, possibly Hassan, you got Twitch, you got YouTube, you got a couple of platforms that will really try and capitalize, or either that try and get on a proxy or clone version of what happened to Bernie in 2016. So yes, your scenario could play out. If she agrees to play ball, they might give her one or two things, and that's about it. And is this an idealistic scenario? Oh, absolutely. But then it also gives out the warning of, okay, third parties, villain, citizen ballot initiatives, we don't have time for that. Mutual aid, we don't have time for that. Anybody that's critical of AOC, oh my God, do you have any idea? If we start being critical of AOC, and she has in a potential scenario, hear me out. Do you have any idea how much fucking shit we'll get from people because we're criticizing AOC and her past failures? I mean, it will be fucking terrible. We get more shit than Republicans. We'll get more shit from anybody else.
It'll be Kamala times 1,000, basically.
Oh, it'll be worse than that.
Yeah.
Kamala times 1,000. Holy cow, Matt. No, it's Kamala times maybe 100 million, man.
100 million.
Like so much shit will come down our way if the lightning in the bottle AOC has a Bernie Sanders 2016 moment, the blessing of the DNC establishment, and also the support of larger channels that are part of the Vote Blue No Matter Who sphere who want to stop Trump. And then, of course, you got corporate media. Oh, my God, we will be beyond fringe. All right? They'll be calling us worse things than communists or socialists or anything else like that. Anybody who's anybody will be a villain. One, like that's the scenario. But that's a word. One, it's probably content gold on one hand, but on the other hand, it's like, could it be full on censorship and termination for us all across the board?
Oh yeah,
that's something I see happening too.
100%. I think
and it's terrible because you brought it up, and the thing is, we're just playing armchair generals here.
Sure.
But if that scenario, she gets the blessing of the establishment Democrats, she gets maybe a few things, lightning in the bottle, 2016, Bernie Sanders moving for 2028, everything else. Oh my God. Oh, we're in for a shitstorm, and everybody better be ready to smile.